Officers everywhere are on extreme alert following the deadly police ambush in Dallas. That ambush was sparked by two officer-involved shootings in Louisiana and Minnesota, both caught on camera and both involving black men. Yesterday, a black man was killed by two HPD officers in the Sunnyside area. The officer said the man was waving a gun in the air, then pointed it toward them, and that's when they fired. While on the scene, we spoke with Councilman Dwight Boykins about how these situations could be avoided. Take a listen to what he said.
I think at this point, because of the crisis situation we're in, not in Houston, but throughout the country, we need to have officers patrolling areas that reflect the ethnicity. I really think so, because that will eliminate second guessing. People know their community and know their culture, and I think that can make a difference.
Black Lives Matter movement is trying to do by bridge the gap in the community, but also what we're trying to do is...
We then had the vice president of the Houston Police Officers Union on our show just minutes after, who said the idea was absolutely ludicrous and that it would never work. So what do you think of Councilman Boykins' idea? That's our topic this half hour. We want to hear from you on our Fox 26 Facebook page. You can also weigh in on Twitter. Be sure to use the hashtag Fox26for Life. Joining us live in the newsroom is our panel led by our senior legal analyst, Chris Tritico. We have former Harris County Democratic Party Chair Jerry Bernberg and Republican strategist and public policy analyst Jackie Bally. So he's basically calling for black officers to patrol predominantly black neighborhoods, Asian officers to patrol predominantly Asian neighborhoods. Would that work?
I'm shocked at the suggestion. I was thinking it through, and I guess, Jackie, if that doesn't work, we could actually take it a step further and have separate schools and maybe separate people into restaurants and have separate sections in restaurants for them and just keep the races separate so we won't have these problems anymore.
Okay, so I'm going to take it seriously at this point. Yeah,
I was serious.
I think I understand where the councilman was trying to go. We don't have the resources for something like that, to be honest with you. We have diversity in a lot of cities. In our city in Sugar Land, we had a similar, not with crime, but we had a large Asian population, and there were things that would come up that our police officers just didn't understand. This is how the Asian community reacts to certain things. So what we did is we got involved in their communities. We went into their mosques, if you're South Asian. We went into their churches. We talked to a lot of the leaders so they could become comfortable with our police officers and our police officers could understand their customs. I think that's where the council member was trying to go with his suggestion. And I think
that's the opposite of what he said.
Well, I think he was saying that we need to have people who understand the communities. He is saying you have to look like the community. I'm saying you understand the community by getting involved with the leaders, getting involved with the community itself, and going into the churches, going into the schools, so that the people in the community can feel comfortable with you and you can feel comfortable patrolling the area.
I find Councilman Boykins, and I like Councilman Boykins, but I find his suggestion a step backwards past the 1964 Civil Rights Act.
Yeah, council member's a friend of mine. We go to Astros games together. I'm baffled by that one. You know, for one thing, we don't have an equal number of African-American police officers as we do the African-Americans in the community. For another, what does that say about an African-American who dares to venture outside of their neighborhood and go to a neighborhood where they're not predominantly there? How about the Latino community, which is dispersed throughout the entirety of Harris County? It seems to me that really the answer to this whole problem is to get people to know one another better and not to go back to being in our own shell, and my community is my community and your community.
Which is Jackie's point, I think.
And I think she's correct, basically, in that regard. Yeah.
Let's go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
The vast majority of people on our Facebook page do not think this is a good idea. We do have one comment, though, from somebody who does. Let's start first with Kevin. He says, saying we should only assign officers of the same ethnicity to a neighborhood is a problem. There's a glaring disparity in ethnic diversity. Already, this just would not work, he's saying. Willie says, I believe what Mr. Boykins is proposing is that officers live in the neighborhoods in which they patrol. And so he's really talking about the whole idea of community policing, get officers into these neighborhoods, talking to people, getting to know them, because he says that would reduce the likelihood of tensions between cops and the people under their jurisdiction. And then Donna says this would just not work. She says that I'm white, my husband is black, we live in a predominantly black neighborhood, but there are other races here. So who are you going to send out?
Well, and that's exactly right. And Willie, that's not what he said. He didn't say that people should live in the neighborhood they patrol, which would be more of a community policing that Houston's been trying to implement for 25, 30 years. That is a good suggestion. That's not what Councilman Boykin said. Now, maybe he was in frustration, said something that he didn't mean. We'll have to wait and see if he clarifies it. But to his suggestion that black officers should only patrol in black neighborhoods steps us back to a pre-civil rights area.
The underlying meaning of his message is something that the president has said. There is a certain percentage of African Americans who do not trust police officers. We've been talking about this for quite some time. So he's trying to say if they see someone who looks like them, they will trust them more. I think as parents, we need to take the responsibility. My sons trust police officers because I've told them, you treat them like you do teachers, like you do pastors, like you do other leaders. If you see a police officer, like we've been seeing on the news, there are some officers who don't do the right thing. You don't say all police officers don't do the right thing. That is one person in that profession. But I think it's up to us to teach our young men and women to trust police officers as well. We have to work with the police officers if we expect them to come in our communities and work with us.
And with that said, there is a segment of the population that has a deep distrust of police officers. That doesn't, but Councilman Boykin's suggestion doesn't solve the problem, it deepens it.
Correct. I mean, look, it is absolutely correct that the cultural issues need to be taken into account in connection with policing. For example, I should hope that the negotiators who were sent in to negotiate with Mr. Johnson in Dallas should best have been African American negotiators, because he'd expressed such antipathy toward white people and toward white police officers in particular. Would have been ineffective to try to negotiate with anybody else. That said, I think what the society needs to be moving toward is a mutual understanding of one another, a mutual trust of one another, and that's not going to happen if we say, okay, all you black guys, y'all go patrol over here, and you white guys, y'all go patrol over there.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. We'll be back in the next hour with two really good topics.
We will continue the discussion. Thank you all so much.